30 days. That is how long it took me to make over $30,000 after I finally stopped asking Google what to sell and started asking God. I know that that may sound too simple, and for some people, maybe even too spiritual, but stay with me because I am going to prove this to you and show you how you can access the same type of guidance from God. You see, most people start their business by researching competitors, by analyzing markets, or copying what they see has worked for someone else. And then they wonder why their business feels like a constant uphill battle. But what if I told you that there's a better consultant, one who actually knows you better than you know yourself, who knows the market before it exists, who knows and who wants your business to succeed even more than you do? I'm talking about God. And when I finally asked him what to sell, it turned into making over $30,000 in my first 30 days. So today I'm going to tell you my story and walk you through the exact process I used so that you can do the same thing. So here is the backstory. Before that $30,000 launch, I was stuck. I was stuck in a job that I hated. And no offense to the job, I would have hated any job because I knew that I was not meant to be spending my life building someone else's dream while I was neglecting my own. And scripture says that hope deferred makes the heart sick. And I was sick. I was heavy. I was burdened. I woke up every morning knowing that I was out of alignment. And I was just crushed because I knew that the longer that I was out of alignment, the more that the people who I was supposed to be helping weren't getting help. The family that I was wanting to take care of and to provide for would go without. And that there would be things that I would miss out on that I would never be able to get back. And so I was trying. I tried drop shipping and I realized I hated dealing with physical products. I tried blogging and I realized I didn't want to write in that way. I had tried affiliate marketing and I learned how to build trust, but I realized I hated promoting things that I didn't fully believe in. And there were so few good affiliate products that I really felt comfortable sitting behind. And so I became overwhelmed. There were too many options. There were too many proven systems, too many gurus saying, do it my way. And nothing felt right. And so one day I did what I should have done at the beginning and I stopped and I closed my laptop and I got to my knees and I said, Lord, what do you want me to sell? What type of business do you want me to build? What have you created and called me to do? And this is what most people don't understand because you may be thinking, well, Danielle, I've prayed that prayer before and I'm still just as confused as when I got on my knees the first time. But you're not going to get a sign from heaven in the way that you think. You're not going to get a burning bush. There isn't going to be a hand that starts writing on the wall. You see, seekers always find, but not in the way that you think. You see, when I asked God what business I should do, I didn't expect him to illuminate a particular tree in an orchard and say, that's the tree. That's the one you should go. What I did expect him to do was to give me discernment and wisdom as I went through the orchard and I tested the trees to determine which one was mine to steward. You see, Romans 12:2 says, by testing, you may discern the will of God. You see, most of us think that God is going to help us avoid the testing and that prayer is some sort of loophole to get around going through the process that literally refines us and makes us into who we would have to be to carry the very thing that we are asking God to bless us with. And so I tested, right? So when I did drop shipping, I learned that I wanted digital products instead of physical products. When I did affiliate marketing, I learned that I needed to create something because I wanted to be able to ensure that it was the best that it could be and that I could stand behind it with full integrity. And you see, when course creation came up, honestly, it scared me. I didn't want to build a product. I didn't want to deal with customers. I didn't want to sell. But the more I tested, the more I realized that this is it. Because I started looking at what God had gifted me for, how he gifted me to be creative, how he gifted me to be able to teach and to explain concepts to people, and how people would constantly ask me about certain things. And at that time, it was resume and interview skills was the first course that I created, and people asking me about how I was able to get high paying jobs. And then when I started looking at the season of life I was in, and I wanted to be a wife, and I was a wife at the time, and I wanted to be a mom, and I wanted to homestead, I needed something that was going to be able to give me the four freedoms that I wanted. I wanted location freedom to be able to travel and work from anywhere in the world. I wanted financial freedom to be able to make an uncapped amount of income that wasn't going to be capped by how many clients I could get, that I wasn't going to have to get on sales calls or slide in the DMs of people. And I wanted time freedom so that I could work for 5 hours a week or less. And I didn't have to leave one grind to jump into another. And I wanted to be fulfilled. I wanted to do something I was actually passionate about that genuinely helped people. And so I didn't go out there and look at what was available in the world. I started by looking at what skills, what interests did God actually give me? And do you know what happened? Well, it was crazy. I started out on TikTok and I had 0 followers when I started. I created what's called a pre-sale campaign, which simply means that I created the pages to sell the course before I ever even created the first lesson. And I promoted it for about 45 days on TikTok. And by the time I had opened the doors, starting from complete scratch, I had 10,000 followers. And within 30 days, I had enrolled 80 to 90 students and had made almost $40,000 in cash, cash collected. And literally, and that was more than what my mother used to make at her job an entire year. And I had made it in a month from a product that I literally had not even built yet. And that was that confirmation. God showed me what to sell. And it was just combination of everything that I had learned and all of the skills that I had and the testing. If I didn't go through that, I would not have ever gotten to that place. And so God blessed me. And this was through testing that that will was actually revealed. So how can you do this yourself? Well, first you have to ask God to open your eyes. And this isn't a one-time prayer. This is where people make the mistake of thinking I'm going to ask God once and he's going to show me immediately. But it's an ongoing conversation. God, open my eyes. Help me to see my natural talents. Help me to see my own inclinations, my gifts that you have given me. Show me who you have called me to serve. You see, when I started that business, which was centered around helping women to be able to replace their incomes, they could quit their job and stay at home with their kids and build a business. I had such a heart for those women. I was in such a pain point because I had figured out how to do it with my interview and resume course. And I wanted to be able to help other women who wanted the same thing, who wanted to see their kids' first steps, who were tired of bringing home the leftovers to their family, who wanted to have time and money to make home cooked meals and without having to sacrifice their income and the things that come with being able to build wealth. And so when I combined that plus the things that I was good at, plus my own gifting, and so even posting on social media, people always say, well, what do I do if I don't want to post videos? Well, one thing you should do is ask yourself, should you be doing this? If it's not a matter of like fear or like things that are sin, and if it's just a matter of your natural inclination, that you are not really chatty, that you don't really like posting content, that you don't like recording videos and you've tried it and you don't enjoy it, maybe it's just a sign that you shouldn't do it. And maybe you will be much better suited in another domain where your gifting can actually shine through. Now, after you pray that prayer, this next step is to look at the 3 Ps. So inside my program, I have a full kind of download where you'll like self-analyze, and that's what my clients do. But I have them look at the problems. So what problems have you solved in your own life that you could help someone else solve? And it doesn't have to be, reversing a like life-threatening disease. It can be training a puppy or making door wreaths for the holidays. I have a student who literally has made $20,000 a month teaching people how to make decorative door wreaths. Okay. It could be losing your first 15 pounds or getting better at hosting and serving in hospitality. You want to ask yourself, what have you overcome that someone else might be struggling with? The second P is the positions. What positions have you held? What skills have you uncovered? Can you help people get into the same career field? We've had students who've been able to teach people nursing and how to be great their first year in nursing, or how to help them with law school and passing the bar. Or I was able to create a course helping people with claims, and I was a claims adjuster, and that was actually where a lot of people were interested in getting into. And I was able to add that into my resume and interview course. And so think about that. Are you a teacher? Are you a nurse? Are you a sales rep? And you do well at your job, you can help people do the same thing. And the third thing you want to think about is pain points, right? So what do you see in the world that makes your heart bleed? For me, it was mothers who couldn't be at home with their kids because they needed a paycheck. For someone else, it might be struggling singles who want to get married but don't know what they're doing wrong, or first year nurses who are dealing with burnout. What breaks your heart? Because that could could be your assignment. The next step is go through your history, go through your files, your most watched videos on YouTube, your podcasts. What fascinates you? Look for things that are repeated, that keep coming up. Don't get caught up in necessarily being passionate about it. Look for what you're curious about, things that naturally prompt you to research without anyone having to tell you, things you could give a TED talk about and talk about endlessly. When I started looking at my history, I had realized that I've always been a natural teacher, that I always loved explaining things, that when I learned something, the first thing I wanted to do is share it with somebody else. And so when you see those patterns, don't be intimidated if the path to making money isn't clear yet. That's a matter of figuring it out. And it's going to require step four, which all of this is going to require step four, which is the hardest thing for most people. And that is asking God for courage. So this is what God actually does when you ask him. He doesn't write it on a wall. He doesn't plop it in your lap. What he does is he attunes your eyes to be able to see opportunities. He attunes your eyes to be able to build skills that are going to put you before kings, like the word of God says. And then he attunes your eyes to ways that you can grow, that you can cultivate that seed and turn it into something that will produce fruit. But then what you're asking him for is the courage to take the opportunity, the courage to cultivate the skills, even when you hit a plateau or it's difficult, the courage to be able to not just see the ways that you can grow, but to actually walk through the doors, to invest and to trust him with the outcome. You see, the courage to pursue something, even if you might fail, even if it doesn't turn out the way that you thought that it would, and the courage to trust him that nothing is happening to you, but that everything is happening for you. And if you've gotten this far in the video and you said, Danielle, I would love to be able to build a business. I would love to be able to look and do the testing, but I don't have anything. I don't have any gifts. I don't have any skills. I haven't solved any problems. Well, there are two problems with this that are probably, there are two potential issues that I want to help you with right now. We're going to solve this really quickly. The first problem that you may be having is simply false humility, is that you are bearing false witness against yourself by claiming that God did not give you any gifts when he has, because it's simply not true. God has given everyone something. And so what you do now is you want to pray that the Lord opens your eyes to see them. And I have an entirely full video on this called Why False Humility is Keeping You Broke, or something to that extent, and that'll be linked. And if that's your problem, I highly encourage you to watch that video in its entirety, because I go in on this false humility and how you're not honoring God by downplaying your gifts and making it seem like you don't have things that you do that could genuinely help the world, right? And then the second problem, which is what I find is a big case of the people as well, is that your gift is still a seed. Okay, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Your gift is the assignment. It's not the fulfillment of the assignment. So a gift that God gives you is not a tree that automatically bears fruit. It's a seed that has the potential to bear fruit. And so the things that I named, the problems you've overcome, the positions you've held, are fruits from someone who has watered and cultivated a seed. And so if you want to help people lose weight, you lose 50 pounds first, document your journey, and then figure out how you can help others do the same thing based on what you were able to do. You want to teach people how to code and build websites with AI? Go out and code and build websites with AI. Do it successfully. Build those websites first, and then now you can teach somebody else how to do it. You're not going to be able to produce value if you don't have anything valuable. And if you're like, I don't have anything, great, cultivate it. What do you want to help people in? What would you want to spend your life, or at least a couple of years, helping someone transform in? And go get that transformation yourself. And then you will be able to solve that problem, because you can't solve a problem for anyone else if you haven't actually solved anything yourself. So if you don't have fruit, then it's a sign that you have not yet cultivated your seed. But once you do cultivate it, then you go build the business. You see, here's the truth. When we talk about asking God to start a business, asking is just the beginning. It's the door that opens you up to an entirely different world, that attunes your eyes to see things in a way that you could never before. You see, God will attune your eyes to the opportunity, and then we have to pray for the courage to actually pursue it. But you have to be willing to step into the testing phase. You have to be willing to cultivate your seed, and you have to be willing to solve the problem for yourself first. And so don't just Google, don't just ask ChatGPT, don't just ask the gurus. Ask the one who created you, who knows your gifts, who knows the market, and who wants you to succeed. Ask God, and then be ready to walk through doors that he opens. So if you want to know, or if you've been interested in how I've been able to build a $100,000 per month business and become a millionaire, which I was able to do by the age of 25, and build a business that I genuinely love and that I feel fulfilled by and that I can work as little as 5 hours a week to maintain. That gives me time and money to enjoy life. I have a free training that breaks down the exact system that I use, how I turn my problems and my pains and my passions and my curiosities into a business that funded my freedom and kingdom ministries and family generational wealth. And it's called The 3 Simple Steps to Create a Course, Replace Your Income, and Quit Your Job. And you can look in the description below and you will see the link. So let's start today building a business that glorifies God and that gives you the life that He designed you for. So if you are ready to take action, comment below asking God and that you are going to ask God, what is that right business for you? And you're going to take action and let the testing begin. So if you're ready, I'll see you in that free training. Subscribe as well if you enjoy the content and wanting to learn more about Christian wealth and entrepreneurship and like the video. Bye.